Welcome, everybody. I want to start today with the worker strikes that have been really spreading nationally across a variety of different industries and types of jobs. And I think it's very interesting what's going on. There's a couple different perspectives about why this is taking place, if and why this is the right time for these types of strikes. But the big picture for me is this is a good thing without weighing in on the reasonableness or the specifics of every strike. Large employers are faced with the reality that for whatever reason you believe there are so many open jobs, and we're going to talk about that in a moment, that employees or potential employees or former employees have what appears to be some newfound leverage, which hopefully they can use to their advantage. So let's start first with a Washington Post article. Strikes are sweeping the labor market as workers wield new leverage. The labor activism runs the gamut of American industry, powered by the same grievances about wages, benefits, and quality of life, driving the Great Resignation. Let's look at a little more of this. Americans are leaving their jobs at staggering rates. A record 4.3 million quit in August alone. Hundreds of thousands of workers with similar grievances about wages, benefits, and quality of life are choosing to dig in and fight. Last week, 10,000 John Deere workers went on strike. Unions representing 31,000 Kaiser employees authorized walkouts. 60,000 Hollywood production workers reached a deal Saturday night, averting a strike hours before a negotiation deadline. All told, there have been strikes against 178 employers this year, according to a tracker by Cornell University's School of Industrial and Labor Relations. The Bureau of Labor Statistics, which records only large work stoppages, has documented 12 strikes involving 1,000 or more workers so far this year. That's higher than 2020 when the pandemic took hold, in line with strike activity from 2019 and from 2018. The trend, union officials and economists say, is an offshoot of the phenomenon known as the Great Resignation, which has thinned the nation's labor pool and slowed economic recovery. Workers are now harder to replace, especially while many companies are scrambling to meet heightened demand for products and manage hobbled supply chains. That has given unions new leverage and made striking less risky. This is a really important thing to understand. The one story that is essentially being told is the reason there are open jobs and the reason why so many restaurants, for example, are putting up signs saying, we've got no employees, we've got to close, is lazy workers choosing to sit at home collecting enhanced unemployment. Now, this is not only wrong, it's also incomplete, and it's also deceptive. First of all, the enhanced unemployment is all but completely gone and phased out. So, yes, there are people collecting unemployment. The vast majority are collecting what is standard in the state in which they live. And that varies. And in some states, it's really not very much. The second piece of this is that the child care component is a particularly big factor because of the concerns about COVID. If you have kids that are too young to be vaccinated, it's not just a financial consideration. It's also, what about my kids who can't be vaccinated? Do I want them in school or not, or part-time or whatever? So the school piece is a big piece of this. We also have this additional wrinkle, which is anecdotally, I've had people write to me, and take this for what it is, which is just an anecdote. I'm being upfront about that. People have written to me and they've said, listen, David, my employer claims to be hiring. So when you hear about 100 unfilled positions, a couple people wrote to me from different companies saying, my employer has 20 positions listed, 30 positions listed, 40 positions listed. We're not interviewing anybody for these positions. And what these folks writing to me believe is going on is that the companies are listing jobs in order to placate the workers they have who have been given the job of 1.5 people or 2 people in some cases during the pandemic, so that the workers believe we're going to replace those folks who left or who we laid off or whatever the case may be. We're hiring, but really it's to keep the existing employees doing the jobs of 1.5 or 2 people calm as they continue to do way more work than they normally would, because the company would say, hey, we'd love to just have one person doing a job. We used to need, 3 people for 2 jobs, or 2 people for whatever the case may be. So anecdotally, that's going on. And then also the leverage is coming from the particularly acute need from a lot of these companies to actually scale up. Logistics companies, delivery companies, a lot of products. There's a couple products I'm waiting for that are just heavily, I don't buy a lot of stuff, but the couple things I'm actually trying to buy right now, I'm told it's going to be a couple months before we can even get them to you. And that is giving employees and unions more leverage than they would normally have. So there's a lot of good here. It's not good to have a supply chain that doesn't feel like it's functioning properly, and to have an inability to access basic products. That's not good. That is less related to what we're talking about here. It's a good thing for labor and workers to have a little bit more leverage. Disproportionately, they tend not to have it. There are a ton of so-called BS jobs out there right now. And a big part of that is employers first finding ways to nickel and dime employees who are W-2 employees, then shifting to a model of just putting people as independent contractors, 1099. That's a big topic of controversy with Uber and similar companies. And I've talked about this before. It is, listen, I don't think at this point I could work for someone else. I might be functionally unemployable at this point if I had to go and apply for a job and have a boss who gives me a schedule and monitors breaks and all these different things. I think that I've been working for myself for so long at this point that I would not even be able to, I think it would be terrible. And when I speak to friends who are mostly in that position, most of the people I know are not working for themselves. It sounds absolutely terrible for a lot, not all of them. A lot of them have good jobs. So anything that can be done to regain some leverage is great. And it appears as though at least some of these strikes are helping do that. Now, by the way, if you're striking, but you didn't vote for candidates you could have voted for, either locally, state, federally, president, who ran on higher minimum wage, democratization of the workplace, more benefits, you should be examining that as well, because in addition to striking, you could also be voting for the changes that you want as well. As a boss, I try to do all the things I can reasonably do as a small employer. We have, we condense the production of the show into 4 days. There's no set schedules. We have an open vacation policy. We just make sure everybody's work is covered. I split health insurance 50-50. Some employers do more, some do less. We're able to do 50-50. We do retirement account contributions. As a small employer, I'm trying to do what I can. Large employers are in dramatically different situations. I think what's going on is very interesting, and we'll see what results come from it. One of our sponsors is Blinkist, who's been supporting the David Pakman Show longer than any other sponsor. Blinkist is the app that lets you listen to or read an entire nonfiction book in just 15 minutes. Blinkist is the way to absorb those books you can't make time for. Blinkist takes top nonfiction titles, pulls out the book's key takeaways and insights, and gives it to you in the form of a text or audio explainer that you can consume in 15 minutes. With Blinkist, now you actually do have time to learn about all the things you've been wanting to tackle. On the Blinkist app, I just listened to This Is Your Mind on Plants by the great Michael Pollan. Super interesting, the history of caffeine and so many other things. Blinkist has you covered on podcasts too. Blinkist takes long episodes of popular podcasts and distills them into audio you can listen to in 15 minutes. With Blinkist, you can become knowledgeable about so many different things. You can have conversations with people about more topics. Blinkist makes you more well-rounded. Try Blinkist for free and get 25% off a subscription. Go to Blinkist.com/Pakman. The link is down below.